Today in the crypto space, we see the market nice and green, Bitcoin right around $103,000, up approximately 2%. However, guys, Ethereum is still moving to the upside, up approximately 13%, way above the $2,000 level. And the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are definitely in the green. We got Solana, Cardano, Pepe even doing some good price action to the upside. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project, a project that's still at the bottom of the range, potentially looking for that breakout, and that project is called Celestia. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market. The market is looking pretty good. We see the market cap up another 1.6% today. Not too bad. A little bit hesitant, to be honest, based on Bitcoin's lead. Ethereum has been pumping, but it did get a slight rejection as it was moving to the upside. However, guys, the market is still okay. We're still doing good. Now, I'm just going to say, I'm going to premise this, guys. Be very careful right now, because in the midterm, short term, we are due for a potential pullback. Let's be real about this. Okay, I know the green is amazing, but we have to understand that right now there are people that are in some severe profits, and the reality is they are going to be taking profits sooner than later. So we have to be prepared for that. This is why looking for breakout trades right now are absolutely dangerous, because a lot of charts are testing previous highs. So the challenge now is to find laggers. Find projects that are still at the bottom of the range, still looking for a potential breakout. Now, today I want to talk about Celestia, because at the end of the day, Celestia is looking for that breakout, looking for that opportunity. So we'll definitely look at it. But if you continue going down and we look at the top 100 here, you do see that a lot of projects, guys, are definitely running, right? They definitely left the station. Some of them more than others, obviously, based on what we can see. Some of them, just definitely tearing it up. We have some of them that are hanging out, like Sui, not doing much lately, kind of flagging, bull flag, a quick, exchange of hands. Some people taking profit. Obviously, it's been running up. I've been telling you guys to just lay off Sui for a little bit. We caught the bottom on Sui. Obviously, we've been DCAing into Sui. We've been DCAing into the entire ecosystem. Now that it's kind of going sideways, right, we kind of want to take profit, maybe get into something else that haven't run. But that's the challenge here, because a lot of projects have been running. I think Cardano has a little bit left in it. I think Cardano could do a little bit more. Hyperliquid has been flying. You look at the last 30 days, guys. If a project is up above 50%, guys, it's already done a good job. It already done a great job, right? Look, so Chainlink's maybe a little bit a lagger, and we got Altcoin, a lagger for sure. But then again, we have to be able to interpret this. Is it a lagger that's going to get a pump, or is this a sign of weakness that it may not? Is there a reason fundamentally for it not to get, a pump? Like even H-bar got UK moved. As you can see, it followed the fractal, but the reality is it didn't move that well. It hasn't been moving. 18%, nothing in comparison to the previous or the other charts. AVAX is another one that's lagging a little bit, but definitely has been waking up in the last little bit. So let's see what's going on there. There's a lot of projects, as you can see, that are showing tons of strength, but maybe a little bit behind, right? Near Protocol was one of them today, started moving. I still feel like it has a little bit more upside there. BitTensor, Tau, I've been telling you guys, it's the same thing with Sui. You're not going to get into fresh longs on these projects. Yes, they could go up. Yes, they could slowly melt upwards a little bit more. But if you look at what's been happening, if you compare these two projects right here, Near Protocol and Tau, if you were able to rotate your Tau gains, or at least some of them, into laggers, which was Near, a couple days back, you would have been able to capture 10% rather than just 2.8%. And even more so, I think that Near Protocol has a lot more upside potential given that it's still lagging behind. Look, Tao's up 90%, guys, where Near Protocol is only up 37%. So that's the reality. Some of them are lagging. I think Aptos lagging, but then again, we're worried about Aptos because Aptos hasn't been doing much. Now, is it a sign of weakness or is it an opportunity? These are the things here, guys. You gotta be able to identify these, right? So maybe we just get down, higher on the risk curve. We start looking for riskier scenarios. I think Ondo's lagging as well. Potentially a good opportunity for a breakout. Caspa did a good job. A lot of good projects did a good job. So did Render. Okay, Fine did a pretty good job. VeChain might be lagging a little bit. As you can see, we got Sonic lagging a little bit as well. Today was a bit of a wake-up call, but nothing much. Nothing to really celebrate over. We need a little bit more. ENA also woke up a little bit, but again, only up 60% today. The majority of the gains have only been today. Right? They're lagging, but look, wake up call for ENA. Great stuff there to see. And as you can see, there's a lot of them that are waking up. Guys, be careful. Don't be FOMOing into price action. Don't become exit liquidity. Wait for pullbacks or look for absolute laggers so that you can get in from a position of strength rather than a position of weakness buying tops. And that would be basically you becoming exit liquidity. Okay, guys? So don't forget, I am live every single night. Again, I'll be live today at 8 p.m. EST. We're going to be looking for those opportunities, and we've been looking for those opportunities on the Discord all day long today. Feel free to join. I got links in the description. I also have great links for some good exchanges, BitNex, BTCC, Blowfin, and many others. Go check them out because we got to get active here because if this market continues to the upside, we need to stay one step ahead. We need to be ready. All right, guys, so let's move on. I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with Bitcoin, and then we'll get right into this chart here, the Celestia chart. For now, what is Bitcoin saying? Is Bitcoin ready to continue to the upside, or are we going to get a sideways weekend where we hesitate right into this level, maybe go sideways for a little bit, and then continue to the upside? Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. So, Bitcoin, definitely exceeded expectations for many. Okay, and this is the problem is when we are expecting things, the market doesn't give us what we want or expect. It does its own thing. We just kind of weigh out, what we see here on the chart as a language and just kind of like weigh out the possibilities or the probability, right? It's just statistical analysis. That's all it really is based on supply and demand. So now that we're all the way up here, we got to let's admit one thing, despite all the bullishness, let's put that aside for a second. We're approaching previous highs. You are currently approaching a level, Bitcoin is approaching a level from a psychological perspective that could cause people to either exit based on people that maybe bought here and want to get out because they're bitter. That's fine. There might be people that want to short this based on the fact that, fundamentally or whatever their case is, they think that this is a great shorting opportunity. Fine, that could also be the case. We also have sell pressure based on the fact that people long the bottom, right? And we know that open, leverage is not really part of the system currently, right? Open interest is still very low with regards to Bitcoin in the space. So that means there's not a lot of leverage positions, but still very possible to see a sell-off in closing positions and maybe a bit of take profit right around this level. And as we battle this zone, we could definitely see that exchange of hands where we see some sellers, very healthy amount of sellers, nothing crazy. Because usually it's the leverage that brings in the craziness. So nothing crazy. And there's going to be buyers anticipating an eventual breakout and a full extension to the upside. So we might get that scenario where we have the exchange of hands, sellers versus buyers. If there is enough buyers for every sellers, where demand, in fact, neutralizes all that sell pressure, all that supply, guys, we'll go sideways and we'll flag out. We'll bull flag out, maybe retrace just a little bit, right? And then continue to the upside, right? And then continue to the upside for another leg, another extension. And then we start to say to ourselves, well, doesn't an exchange of hands right at this level, a quick distribution and exchange right here between sellers and buyers, basically give us the best opportunity for a nice expansion with volume right above these previous highs? And you can see that previously speaking, it's not like there's a lot of volume, guys. It's more of a psychological thing than anything, right? Here was a lot more volume. We hesitated and we blew right through it. At this level, guys, there's a lot less volume. And based on that concept, we should be able to break above these highs a lot easier, given the fact that there's not as much market participation as there was even in this node right here with the point of control. So what am I saying here, guys? I'm saying that we very likely we continue. I think it's very likely we continue. However, in the short term, especially that we are, of course, happy Friday, guys. You know, we're leading into the weekend. What do we see here this weekend? Do we see low volume price action? Or finally, do we see a nice green weekend? Because it's been time since we see a great green weekend. It could be possible. So it's a game of possibility right now. And I'm telling you this, ultimately right now, the risk of getting into fresh longs is there. The risk of getting into fresh longs, particularly on Bitcoin, is real, very, very real. Now, statistically speaking, again, when we see Bitcoin going sideways, we usually see altcoins take full advantage of that opportunity. Tonight on the live stream, we'll talk about this. I'll show you a chart, a table that explains the recipe. The recipe is recipe where we see Bitcoin kind of goes neutral, and where big altcoins take full advantage of that scenario, and we get an altcoin season. Now, I'm not saying that altcoin season is on, but I'm going to tell you this as well, is that, again, statistically speaking, when Bitcoin gets into price discovery, even logically, okay, even from a risk-to-reward ratio scenario, it supports an altcoin season, and it has shown this previously in other cycles. So what we have to do is entertain, again, the possibility, the same way we entertain the possibility of a bottom right here, where I was going bullish, especially right into this flag, DCAing every single week and buying the dip and accumulating and getting into margin positions, leverage positions. We also have to entertain the possibility that we get an altcoin season. Because the most painful thing that you could ever experience in this market, especially if you endured an entire bear market for 2 to 3 years that we've been extending it to, guys, is to actually miss out on the biggest rally of the cycle. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to induce FOMO. I'm just trying to bring some reality here, some perspective. Yes, we could get rejected and come all back down, and for a nice dip, even come down to about 92,500, which is possible. But at the same time, guys, we are positioned currently with bullish sentiment, bullish price action, bullish trend, bullish momentum, bullish everything, and approaching all-time highs, potentially piercing through and getting into price discovery. What indication do I have here to get bearish? Nothing. Nothing really, right? So this is the truth. Profit taking is always welcome. Take profit. Take 10% off the top, trail up a stop loss. Defend the gains. Defend yourself. Get defensive as well, because of course getting offensive here at highs is very dangerous. But what about the altcoins? What about this whole concept of this altcoin season that I'm talking about? Guys, of course, we'll talk about this in a lot more detail, guys. I think this is going to be the hottest topic in the next little while. Of course, a lot of us have been preaching about altcoin season, but do we dare bring it up again? 100% we need to. All right, guys, so let's jump into Celestia. I'm not going to take much more of your time with regards to Bitcoin. We'll do this in more detail later. But Celestia, what is going on with TIA? Is it a lagger? Currently, today, it's up 7%. But if you look at it in relative terms, relative to Bitcoin, even relative to Ethereum, we can conclude clearly that TIA has not left the station, right? And we can also conclude that we are sort of getting risk on, given the fact that Ethereum is showing strength, and a good amount of strength. And again, do I dare even say this? Outperforming Bitcoin in the last few days, which means that maybe individuals in this market are willing to take on more risk than usual, which means that capital rotation is beginning. It could be the beginning of the capital rotation that basically fuels the altcoin season. So if this is the case, is it valid to suggest that Celestia in the future, maybe in the near future, will eventually start pumping to the upside, and it will get its fair share of capital to start to see TIA move up? Very possible. Now, let's talk about history. Let's take a look at what happened here, because it will give us an indication of market sentiment. I can see that a lot of people may have gotten into long positions, and I was one of them. And gratefully enough, this came up, did great. Remember, hitting, because I don't trade tops. I'm not a breakout trader. I buy bottoms. You guys know that. right? I buy these bottoms. These are what interest me. And I accumulate on higher lows, on higher lows. And as soon as we start breaking structure, which is the change of character to the upside, confirming higher highs, I get defensive, particularly at previous highs, especially when we start hitting resistance. We broke above. Beautiful breakout, beautiful opportunity, but not time to get into fresh longs. In fact, once you get into extension levels, that's when you should start getting defensive. You should already be in the profit once it expands through a structure like this. So why am I telling you this? Not because, I'm trying to gloat on the entries and on the move, none of that. I'm just trying to make you realize that at this level, okay, there are people that did not take profit. And from an emotional perspective, there's people that are totally capitulating and totally getting wrecked, especially right into here, because people right here started adding margin to the position to lower their liquidation and secure themselves right around this level, getting into massive margin positions because of that. Perhaps even people bought here and didn't take profit. Perhaps people bought the top and didn't, exit upon the reversal. Perhaps at this moment right here, there's a lot of trapped liquidity also within this structure. What I'm trying to say here is there's a lot of emotional trapped liquidity all over the place on this chart. Okay, so what we are actually waiting for, and I think it has been achieved throughout the market, is a complete, shakeout or a liquidation hunt to the point that there's no more individuals, in fact, looking at Celestia. Look at the volume to the upside that we got on this little candle. I think this candle is probably the most important candle. This whole level right here is the most important thing right now for us if you're bullish on Celestia. Number one, we're in a very good cluster of volume that represents this entire structure. Up until now, as we were coming down, making lower lows and lower highs, we are decreasing in volume and all of a sudden expansion in volume. Huge impulse. Look at the price. We'll zoom in a second. Looking pretty good. Now, as we zoom in and we start looking at what really happened here, we have to identify that this level, based on previous bottoms, is quite critical. We need to stay above it. We need to break above it. Now, we have done that in the past, but it was a fake out. Ugly price action, guys. Pretty ugly. And then literally, obviously a little bit lower, we come down. Nice V recovery. Triple bottom. Slightly higher bottom. Sure, let's entertain that. Now we're back to previous highs, guys. Do we get rejected here? Do we get rejected or do we actually blow right through this? Based on what we see throughout the markets, it's very possible that Celestia continues breaking out, but we have to admire or admit the fact that we are currently at previous highs on these local tops, looking for a breakout as well. If we break to the upside, it's going to start to really break, and the target based on a falling wedge like this is usually the base of the wedge. We have a volume gap right here. Okay, nice little empty little gap, which allows the price to fly. This is no longer valid. This is old TA. It's been a while, guys, since I covered Celestia, so I'm glad that we can get a little bit of an update here. So what I'm really looking forward to is seeing this thing stay above the $2.87 mark. I'm looking forward to close this daily candle this way. And in addition, if we are lucky enough, even on the 6 hour, to come down, back test and bounce. Backtest and spring here would be absolutely epic. However, guys, I would also entertain this for it to actually break through this volume gap. You can see there's very little resistance right here based on volume. Although you can see some bottoms, I know there's some tops and some tops. In conclusion, in summary, this whole zone is very low volume, which means there's not much emotion there. If we can break above this zone right here, which is $3.75, that's when we can break to about $4.50, right? And I know this gap is not that large, which is the biggest opportunity or the easiest opportunity. But the fact is that we're seeing a lot of the market break out of their falling wedges, and we currently are confirming a change of character based on the fact that we made a slightly higher low and we are going for a potential higher high. If we can close a daily candle clearly above this top, guys, it's pretty confirmed. And then from there, the best case scenario would be that we run, okay, which is possible, get rejected, backtest, and then continue. Guys, why not? That's definitely possible. So we got to entertain that. Another scenario would be, and again, it's all bullish scenarios for now, it would be to get rejected, maybe right here, come down for another higher low, and then continue to the upside. And this would be, potentially a little bit of a flag. That would still justify a bear flag. Okay, let's keep that in mind as well. And if Bitcoin dips and Ethereum starts to dip over this weekend, it's likely that Celestia does that. It's likely that it comes down to hunt this liquidity. So this is very important. And in addition, it could be hunting trendline liquidity at the current moment. So there is a bit of bearishness here, but we have to entertain the second option, which is we get rejected and come down and find its next bottom, and which could be down here, as I mentioned. And it could be even coming down to hunt this liquidity down here, because you know how many stop losses are there? Tons. There's a few stop losses there, I can imagine, right? The second option, or the third option, is that we do not fly right through the way I suggested first, is that we actually, break above, get to a nice extension, healthy extension, maybe even as close as here, reject, higher low, confirmation low, and come back up and break this high and this high and this high and all this level very nicely. Why I like this option a lot better, and I know a lot of new traders are going to say, I see it, cup and inverse head and shoulder, cup and handle, whatever it is. It's an inverse head and shoulder. That's fine. And I kind of like this better. Why? Because we get to basically allow people to take profits. We allow bulls to take bullish bids and accumulate, and then go for another attempt. Instead of taking the attempt from all the way down here where there's some people that still want to take profit, we offload them. Get off the train. Get off the train, profit takers. We're coming down. Pick up some bullish, more bulls that want to go for the upside. We pick up those bids, and then we go up for the attempt with a lot more strength than we did from this level down here. Then we break out hard, and then we break above this. We go through the volume gap, and then obviously next level is right around here, where I would say, okay, it's not bad of a scenario where we expect that these tops act as a bit of resistance. By that time, you'll start to see, okay, shoulder, head, shoulder, and then we'll start to say, wow, we broke structure, change a character. We did it, and an expansion. Too late, guys, after that. You're not getting into fresh lungs after that. It's done. So you can see now, after I painted this picture for you, you can see that, okay, we didn't do anything here, guys. We didn't do anything. Now, it's not guaranteed. None of what I'm saying here is financial advice or guaranteed. But what I'm saying is, if the market stays bullish and Ethereum continues to stay bullish and the market still speculates on potential breakouts on other projects, on other laggers, guys, Celestia is there in the pipeline ready to go. Now, I'll just also premise this concept that not all laggers will get their opportunity. I've seen this in the past in multiple cycles, that we expect rotation and rotation and rotation. We expect all projects to pump, and some of them just don't. And not to say that they won't ever, it's just that they won't this time. Bitcoin will dip, maybe ETH might dip a little bit, and the next impulse, we'll see Celestia run. And then maybe it's the fact is that we did get rejected here, come down for that little dip, like I'm saying, maybe hunt the liquidity below these bottoms, and then go for the breakout above the falling wedge, this descending wedge or falling wedge, or whatever you want to call it. So looking pretty good. Ultimately, this is a time where you should start taking a little bit of risk, but on the daily, we're up 7%. So this is where things get a little bit hectic. But big picture on the daily, we're not bad here overall. Now, I talk about market structure significantly right now. Let's quickly look at the oscillators. If you're interested in these oscillators, guys, I got links in the description. Synergy Signal has been killing it the last little while. Custom indicator that I created, it's been doing really, really good. Now, what I want to show you is that we've been stuck in the very choppy price action here, based on the fact that we haven't gotten overbought, and we've been hanging out here very neutralized, very tranquil here at the chop zone. And what I also see is that as the price is coming down, momentum has basically bottomed out. That's Class C bullish divergence. And then finally, this one right here did not make a lower low or even come down for the another touch of the 30%. In fact, it's a higher low. And if we start breaking out of this chop zone or out of this trend and get overbought, which is above the 70, guys, I'm telling you this, we're going to start to expand with some strength. And that's when you're going to basically appreciate the expansion through the volume gap, or some sort of backtesting continuation, basically some bullish price action that's going to confirm this as a change of character. Right now, it's not confirmed, nothing's major, just a small little confirmation right into here, no follow through. None whatsoever. Okay, so we're confirming the change of character without any follow through. We're early enough to capture the majority of the move to the upside, which is great. Now, if you look at the trend oscillator, you can see that we fought here to get into the bullish control zone. Are we there yet? No. We're not. We're in an uptrend with regards to EMAs, which is great. Expansions, lots of divergence right here, a bit of divergence right here, bit right here, doing pretty good. Not the strongest signs, but doing okay. EMAs are not in the bullish control zone. We're still below. On the bearish control zone, we did not cross over the zero mark. As you can see, the EMAs, these ones right here, did not cross over. If we break above the zero, guys, I'm expecting expansion. I'm expecting a purple expansion like one of these, but much bigger, where we start to see big purple expansions, where we start to see good price action to the upside. Celestia very tranquil at the moment. Is it going to be a calm before the storm scenario for Celestia, or is Celestia just going to hang out here and not get its turn? I would say this, because the risk to reward ratio is healthy and it hasn't left the station, and you know a valid stop loss can be placed at around $2 or slightly below $2.10. What you can do is just get into that position and assume that maybe we do come down there, put your stop loss in there. And especially on a dip, you can DCA all the way down. Just make sure you don't increase your position size too hard. And then all of a sudden, just hold on and wait to see what happens. If we move to the upside, take half on the double, take your initial investment off the table. Let's see, can we even do that? Not really. 50, 60%. Maybe if we go all the way up to that level, which is the absolute bullish target all the way up here, yeah, we could definitely take our initial investment off the table. And based on a falling wedge, like I said previously, this is the first target. This right here. I would be worried about this level right here for the first target if this thing starts to actually get some follow through to the upside. This is going to be a bit of a battle zone, but 100% that's a great target to see some follow through, and of course taking some of those profits and defending the gains. All right, guys, so doing pretty good on Celestia. Lots of good projects right now in a very similar boat, either breaking out at local resistance or looking for rounded bottoms and so on. Guys, if you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join that Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Guys are going to be live tonight, 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. It's a great time and place for you to make requests on any projects that you're interested in. So feel free to join. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the div.